the downsampler, the frequency domain characterization is also important for downsampler. We should have a complete look upon the frequency domain characterization of a downsampler. Applying the Z transform to the input output relation of a factor of m, capital M, downsampler, y n, the output sequence is equal to x, capital M n. This we have already seen earlier. Then by evaluating the Z transform of the output sequence, I get y z is equal to n minus infinity to plus infinity x m n z to power minus n. From the basic definition of Z transform, I can easily evaluate the Z transform of the output sequence y n, and it is explicitly written like this: y z is equal to m n x m n z to power minus n, assuming n varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. It is a generalized case. When you consider positive or right sided sequences, it should be from 0 to infinity, n should vary from 0 to infinity. If it is a finite sequence, then it should be from 0 to n minus 1, where capital N represents the finite number of samples. The expression on the right hand side cannot be directly expressed in terms of x z. So, we have to go for some mathematical manipulation to explain the frequency domain characterization for a downsampler. We have to go for some mathematical manipulation, so that we can easily explain the frequency domain characterization of a downsampler. To get around this problem, define a new sequence, let it be x I n t n. Let x I n t n is equal to x n for n is equal to 0 plus minus m plus minus 2 m, like that, 0 otherwise. Means simply we are trying to suppress or delete m number of samples after the first sample. Then you try to suppress or delete m number of samples after the m plus 1th sample. Then the transform of y z, sorry y n, the transform of y n, that is y z, can be written like this: x m n z to power minus n, where n varies from minus infinity to plus infinity, is equal to x I n t m n z to power minus n, that is equal to say k instead of m n. Now, I can use the integer k is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x I n t k z to power minus k by m. Earlier it was z to power minus n. Now, here n is replaced by k divided by m, there should not be any confusion. That is equal to x I n t z to power 1 divided by capital M. So, in this way I can compute the Z transform of the output sequence y n. Now, x I n t n can be formally related to x n through x I n t n is equal to C n x n. Where C n is defined this way: C n is equal to 1 for n is equal to 0 plus minus m plus minus 2 m and so on, 0 otherwise. A covariant representation of C n is given by C n is another sequence that is equal to 1 divided by m k 0 to m minus 1 w subscript capital M superscript k n. K is an integer, n is an integer, m is also an integer in this case, where the notation W m can be defined as e to power minus j twice pi divided by capital M. Here you can observe this, the notation W m is used to represent e to power minus j 2 pi divided by capital M. Taking the Z transform of x I n t n is equal to C n dot x n and making use of C n, the covariance representation of C n, that is 1 divided by m k 0 to m minus 1 W capital M k n, we arrive at x I n t z is equal to n minus infinity to plus infinity C n x n z to power minus n, that is equal to 1 divided by capital M n minus infinity to infinity k 0 to m minus 1 W m k n, again k varies from 0 to m minus 1 x n z to power minus n, that is equal to 1 divided by m, and this can be taken outside k 0 to m minus 1, and within bracket I can write minus infinity to plus infinity x n W m k n z minus n, that is equal to simply 1 divided by m k 0 to m minus 1, then x z W m to power minus k. Now, let us consider the frequency response. Consider a factor of 2 downsampler with an input x n, the input sequence is x n, the downsampling factor is 2 here. The spectrum of the input sequence x n has been displayed in this particular figure. Here we have the spectrum of the input sequence x n omega versus x e j omega. Again here let us assume that x e j omega is twice pi periodic in nature. With this assumption I can plot the frequency response of the input sequence x n here. The DTFT, you know what is DTFT, discrete time Fourier transform of the output and the input sequences of this downsampler are then related as y e j omega, the frequency response of the output sequence y n is equal to half of x e j omega divided by 2 plus x e to power minus j omega divided by 2. Now, x minus e to power j omega by 2 is equal to x e to power j omega minus 2 pi by 2. I think this part is clear. I have already assumed that x e j omega is twice pi periodic in nature. With this assumption, I can write x minus e to power j omega divided by 2 is equal to x e to power j omega minus 2 pi divided by 2, implying that the second term, that is x minus e to power j omega by 2 in the previous equation is simply obtained by shifting the first term x e j omega by 2 to the right by an amount twice pi as shown below. You can refer the earlier equation. Here this is called as the first term, this one is the second term, that is the meaning of the first term and second term. So, here by shifting the first term we can get the second term. By shifting the first term x e j omega by 2 to the right by an amount twice pi as shown below. You can observe this particular figure here. Your x minus e j omega by 2 can be obtained by simply shifting this x e j omega by 2 by an amount that is equal to twice pi. By shifting the first plot x e j omega by 2 by an amount twice pi to the right side. The plots of the two terms means x e j omega by 2 and x minus e j omega by 2. The plots of the two terms have an overlap and hence in general the original shape of x e j omega is lost when x n is downsampled as indicated below, because you have seen the frequency response of the output sequence y e j omega is equal to half of this. You have to combine both first term and second term divided by 2 gives you the frequency response of the output sequence y n. So, when you do this you get this figure. The overlap causes the aliasing that takes place due to undersampling. So, this downsampling is a very serious problem in both the fields of digital signal and image processing. You are downsampling the given sequence by a factor of 2 means you are avoiding the Shannon's sampling theorem, rather you are violating the Shannon's sampling theorem, which is a very serious problem in the field of communication. It is a very serious problem in the field of digital signal processing. Similar is the situation when we consider digital image processing. If you violate Shannon's sampling theorem, you can observe image artifacts while considering digital image processing. In signal processing, it is otherwise known as aliasing. This aliasing effect create problem while recovering the baseband signal or the original signal. If there is aliasing, some information will be lost. It is really difficult to recover the original baseband signal. So, here we can observe the problem of aliasing when you go for downsampling. So, this sampling rate conversion is a very serious problem and we should be very careful while implementing a downsampler, because here we are trying to avoid or violate Shannon's sampling theorem. So, what to do then? How to overcome this problem? Shannon has already suggested that if you go for a lower downsampling rate, then you must pass the signal baseband signal through a low pass filter before sampling. This is the alternative suggestion of Shannon, which we must remember. It is already written in the books, but usually students they remember only Shannon's sampling theorem. The alternative scheme they never study or they never remember, but there is a possibility of recovering the original baseband signal if you can pass the signal through a low pass filter before sampling. Then you can go for a lower sampling rate. Lower, I mean lower than the Nyquist rate. The desired Nyquist rate you know, the minimum sampling rate, it is already known as per Shannon's sampling theorem. you have to consider the minimum sampling rate, otherwise it is difficult to recover the original baseband signal without any loss. But in frequency or sampling frequency conversion, we like to go for a lower sampling rate, because here you have seen down sampling by a factor of 2 means here we go for a lower sampling rate, lower than the desired Nyquist rate. So, thereby we are creating the problem of aliasing. When there is aliasing means there is an overlapping of the frequency bands. So, what should happen to the output then? If this is the case, then we may not be in a position to recover the original baseband signal or the original signal from the down sampled version of the given signal. So, this overlap causes the aliasing that takes place due to undersampling. Undersampling I mean lower sampling rate. There is no overlap, that is no aliasing only if x e j omega is equal to 0 for absolute omega greater than or equal to pi by 2. So, you have to impose this condition. How to impose this condition? It has to be passed through a low pass filter with pass band 0 to pi by 2. Very simple, one can easily design a digital low pass filter with pass band 0 to pi by 2. So, first you pass the signal through the low pass filter, then you go for down sampling. So, this is the idea of down sampling, proper idea of down sampling. Otherwise, if you do it arbitrarily, it is very difficult to go for an interpolative reconstruction of the original baseband signal. Always the down sampling is followed by an upsampling business. Upsampling means again it is interpolation. So, interpolative reconstruction of the original baseband signal becomes difficult when you do down sampling arbitrarily, it is not possible. So, first your signal or the discrete signal, discrete sequence, it should be passed through a low pass filter which is restricted to a bandwidth of or pass band of 0 to pi by 2, then only you can think for a lower sampling rate, may be a factor of 1 divided by 2. Note y e j omega, this point is very important, we should take a note of this, so that things becomes clearer later on. Y e j omega, the frequency response of the output sequence is indeed periodic with a period twice pi, even though the stretched version of x e j omega is periodic with a period 4 pi. In the case of a upsampler, the frequency response becomes compressed. In the case of downsampler, the frequency response becomes more stretched. So, y e j omega is indeed periodic in nature with a period of twice pi, even though the stretched version of x e j omega is periodic with a period 4 pi. So, this is an important point which should be noted for your reference. For the general case, the relation between the discrete time Fourier transform of the output and the input of a factor of capital M downsampler is given by y e j omega discrete time Fourier transform, that is equal to 1 divided by m k 0 to m minus 1 x e j omega minus twice pi k divided by capital M. Y e j omega is a sum of m capital M uniformly shifted and stretched versions of x e j omega, where x e j omega is the frequency spectrum of the original sequence or the input sequence section, and scaled by a factor of 1 divided by m. Later on, this scaling and shifting terms will be frequently used while I will be talking about the wavelets and applications in digital signal processing. So, we must have a clear picture about the scaling and shifting. Recently, two different terms are used in the literature. The shifting is otherwise known as translation, scaling is otherwise known as dilation. In wavelet literature, we find two different terms, but they are all same. Scale factor, dilation factor, they are same, or scaling, dilation is same, shifting or translation is same. Frequency shifting, frequency translation, they are same. Similarly, scaling and dilation, they are same. And wavelet theory, the words dilation and translations are frequently used, whereas in DSP literature or in conventional books, we find words like scaling and shifting, scaling theorem, shifting theorem and all that. So, here the frequency response of the output sequence means output from the down sampler can be obtained by evaluating the sum of m uniformly shifted and stretched versions of x e j omega and scaled by a factor of 1 divided by m. This factor 1 divided by m is responsible for scaling, and this term twice pi k is responsible for the shifting. So, m uniformly shifted and stretched versions of x e j omega can easily be obtained. Then you take the sum, you get y e to power j omega. This point is clear. Then we can see this figure. Now, you can observe this particular figure x e j omega, here it is x e j omega divided by 2, down sampled with a factor of 2. Aliasing is absent if and only if, or in other words I can avoid the problem of aliasing if I restrict the band to 0 to pi divided by m, that is x e j omega is equal to 0 for absolute omega greater than equal to pi divided by m, as shown below for m is equal to 2. When capital M is equal to 2, your x e j omega must be equal to 0 for absolute omega greater than equal to pi divided by 2. So, here it is clear that there is no problem of aliasing or overlapping. There is no overlapping in between the two successive frequency bands. So, this way we can avoid the problem of aliasing, so as to recover the original baseband signal without any loss. So, how to achieve this? I have already explained. You pass the signal through a low pass filter band limited to 0 to pi divided by 2. So, frequency domain properties of the upsampler shown below for m is equal to 2, when capital M is equal to 2, the input and output spectra of a downsampler with capital M is equal to 3 are shown below. Effect of aliasing can be clearly seen. Here the pass band is restricted to 0 to pi by 2, the earlier case, but when I consider M is equal to 3, then there will be the problem of aliasing, and it is clearly observed from this figure, the output spectrum. If you try to recover the original baseband signal, then some information will be lost. So, this is what I mean by the aliasing effect of the downsampler. So, one must be very careful while designing a downsampler for sampling rate conversion. Then let us study the cascade equivalences, very important again. We should know the equivalence structures. Why should we know equivalence structures? To reduce the computation time, that is all. In DSP and image processing, the computation time is an important factor. Of course, nowadays very fast CPUs are available, but still researchers they consider execution time to be an important factor while designing and implementing upsamplers and downsamplers. We should always try to reduce the computation time. We should try to reduce the memory requirement. Bulk amount of memories are available nowadays with cheaper price, but still the memory utilization and computation time are considered to be two most important factors in designing and implementing digital filters or your samplers and upsamplers, downsamplers, etc. A complex multi-rate system is formed by an interconnection of the upsampler, the downsampler and the components of an LTI digital filter. What is LTI digital filter? Linear time invariant digital filter. Now, you can think for a complex multi-rate system, where we can incorporate both upsampling as well as downsampling, or downsampling followed by upsampling. Both are possible, but we should do it in a proper way, so that the memory requirement and computation time are reduced. In many applications, these devices appear in a cascade form. An interchange of the positions of the branches in a cascade often can lead to a computationally efficient realization. Always we should think for a computationally efficient realization. I will explain what I mean by computationally efficient. Means we should try to avoid more number of computations, particularly multiplications. As you know that multiplications require more time compared to additions. So, we should try to avoid more number of additions and multiplications to reduce the computation time while implementing a downsampler or upsampler. This is important. To implement a fractional change, so far I have restricted my discussion to sampling rate conversion or alteration by an integer factor, but here we can extend the same idea to fractional factors. No more the discussion is restricted to integers only. We can think for a sampling rate conversion by an fraction, order of the fraction. To implement a fractional change in the sampling rate, we need to employ a cascade of an upsampler and a downsampler. By using a cascade of upsamplers and downsamplers, you can think for the fractional change in the sampling rate. Otherwise, also nowadays lot of research is going on in the field of fractional signal processing. You might have heard about fractional signal processing. Recently, some papers are already published. We have done some research in this connection. Last year, we have published a paper in signal processing, an international journal, that is on fractional signal processing, where we have developed fractional splines used for fractional signal processing. Earlier, all DSP books they have restricted their discussion up to integer order only. Now, the order is no more restricted to remain as an integer, the order can be extended to a fractional number. So, earlier books they explain about splines of integer order 1, 2, 3 like that, but we have generated fractional splines, means spline functions, basis functions with fractional order. Order can be 1.1, it can be 1.7, it can be 2.3 like that. So, by using fractional splines also it is possible to go for a fractional order interpolation. I can enlarge a signal by a fractional number 1.3 or 1.7 or 8.5 like that. Similarly, an image can also be enlarged by a fractional number, it can be 8.1. So, nowadays fractional signal processing is becoming more popular. So, accordingly books will be changed. Fractional signal processing will be very useful for optical devices and optical signal processing. In future, optical signal processing will be very prominating. Lot of applications are coming in future. In that view, we have to do lot of research in this area, fractional signal processing. Signal processing restricted to integer numbers or integer orders or integer index is no more useful while talking about optical signal processing. Similar is the case with filters. Already fractional FIR filters, fractional IIR filters are developed and they appeared in recent journals. You can read some articles. We should know how to design fractional FIR filters or fractional low pass filters or fractional order high pass filters. Many more interesting things are expected in near future. All researchers and senior professors, mathematicians, they are working in this particular area of research. However, by using the or by cascading upsamplers and downsamplers, we can also go for a fractional change in the sampling rate. Consider the two cascade connections shown below. Here I have one figure downsampling followed by upsampling. Here it is upsampling followed by downsampling by a factor of m. In the earlier case output is y 1 n, you can see the difference. Here I have written y 2 n. So, you should remember this, so that I can explain why I have written y 1 n and y 2 n, two different sequences. A cascade of a factor of m downsampler and a factor of L upsampler is interchangeable, as we have seen, with no change in the input output relation. In fact, y 1 n should be equal to y 2 n. even if I interchange the interpolator and downsampler or upsampler and downsampler. If and only if m and l are relatively prime, that is m and l do not have any common factor and is an that is an integer k greater than 1. Obviously, 1 is a common factor always. So, there should not be any other common factor k greater than 1 for both the integers m and l. If this is the case, then y 1 n must be equal to y 2 n, both are same. This y n must be equal to y 2 n when the m and l do not have any common factor k greater than 1. Then we should have a look at the cascade equivalences. Two other cascade equivalences are shown below. Cascade equivalence number 1, x n downsample by a factor of capital M, then pass it through a filter with transfer function h z, and we get the output y 1 n, that is equivalent to x n pass through a filter with transfer function h z to power capital M, then downsampled by a factor m, that is equal to y 1 n. Now, both are same. Equivalence can be seen from this particular figure. Similarly, we have another equivalence, cascade equivalence number 2, x n upsampled by a factor L, then pass through a filter with transfer function h z to power L, let the output be y 2 n, that is equivalent to x n passing through a low pass filter with transfer function h z followed by upsampling with a factor of capital L, that is equal to y 2 n. So, you should have a knowledge of equivalence classes. The knowledge is required for reducing computation time only, otherwise we are achieving the same thing. Thank you all.